Price of goods. Goods which are highly priced, very expensive. We know that those goods are used by very high income class of the society, right? Those who have abundance of income, abundance of wealth. And goods which are priced very low or the lowest, they are used by the low income class of the society. Both these types of goods have almost no elasticity, no price elasticity. Why? Because even though price of highly expensive goods rise further, since they are consumed by very high income class of the society, they hardly get affected with rise in price. Have you got me? And because of that, demand of such goods does not get affected at all. I hope you have understood me. Yes or no, guys? Right? I'm asking all. So when price of Mercedes or Audi or Ferrari or any other such car even rise, then also their demand will not get affected. Why? Because such cars are used by very high income class of the society. Similarly, the goods which are used by the very low income class of the society, the cheapest goods, even though their prices rise, the low income class still cannot quit that good. Why? Because they do not have any other option. They otherwise also were consuming the cheapest goods in its category. So their demand also does not get affected. Have you understood me what I said, guys? Amatullah, Athav, Himanshi, Mansha, Manveer, Shubhi, Tahir, and Aryan. What I said about it.
Yes, sir, understood.
Yes, sir.
So goods which are highly priced and are very expensive are consumed by the high income class of the society. Even when prices of these goods rise, their demand does not get affected. Similarly, goods which are cheapest in its category are used by the low income class of the society. When prices of such goods rise, their demand also does not get affected much as their consumers cannot quit the goods as they were the cheapest. I hope guys you all have understood. If yes, start noting this down. So it is the only middle class guys that shows more price elasticity because they all consume goods of moderate price. Got this guys or not all? I'm asking all guys. Are you all done with this, guys? This point? Yes. Mansha, Anish, I'm asking all guys. Amatullah, Tahir, Athav,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, done.
Yes, sir.
Himanshi,
Sir.
Aryan, Shubhi.
Sir, done.
Okay, next point guys is proportion of expense on an item, that is goods or service, in overall family budget. Proportion of expense on an item, that is on a good or service, in overall family budget. Now guys, let's understand this point first and then I will write about it. So this is a monthly expenditure of a family on an average on the various items, that is grocery, fruits, vegetables, medicines, education, clothing, durables and other semi-durables, electricity, rent. So the total expense is 20,000. A proportion of these expenses on total budget or percentage of these expenses on total budget is 10% because 2000 is 10% of 20,000. Then here 5%, again 10%, right? Then here 3%, here 15%, here 5%, here 4.5%, here 3.5%, and here 40%. The sum total of this obviously would be 100. Are you getting this much, guys, or not all? What I'm doing here? I'm asking all guys. Now let's
Yes,
say
sir.
there is price rise by almost 5% in all the commodities, more or less. So here the price has risen by 5% of this, that is 100. Here again by 5%, that is 50. Again 5%, that is 100. Means now vegetables are costing 2,100. Fruits are costing 1,050 because of price rise by 5%. Medicines now are of 630. This is 3,900. Sorry, 5% that is 3,115. Oh, okay. I have to write only price rise. So this is 30, this is 150, this is 50, this is 45, this is 35, and this is 400. Right? What do you think? Where this family will cut its consumption first out of these items? Sorry? The very first item on which this family will cut down its consumption or expenses would be which one? Sorry?
Electricity.
Right. The very first item where this family would try to cut down its expense is rent. Why? Because it is
Rent.
taking the maximum proportion. It has the maximum proportion that is 40%. 40% of their family budget goes in rent. And because of the highest proportion among all other expenses, now it is taking more. It is taking the most among all the items. Correct or not, guys? Are you understanding this point or not? Their family budget now has become how much? 21,000. Because this overall has risen by 5%. So now the budget has become 21,000. But family's income is same. Family's income has not changed. Only prices of goods and services have risen by 5% in the economy, where the maximum the family has to arrange for rent, that is rupees 400. Why? Because it has the maximum proportion on the overall family budget. It means, guys, the item which takes the maximum proportion of expense on the overall family budget has highest price elasticity. And the item which takes the lowest has very low price elasticity. Family can still spend 30 rupees more for medicines, but it would not like to pay 400 more for rent. And that is why the family would try to look for some other house where rent is still 8,000. Am I clear, guys, or not? Have you understood this point? I'm asking all guys. Got this, Aditya? I'm asking everyone, guys, have you got this point or not, or should I explain it by changing my words?
Understood, sir.
right? Yeah. Which one? This one? See, 5% of this is 1000. So it would be now 21,000. Here I might have done some mistake. What is the total of this? So here I have done some mistake either in totaling of it. But anyways, you understood the idea, right? This table otherwise also you do not have to make. I have made this table only to make you understand what this point is about. So the item that is goods or service which has highest proportion on total family budget has highest price elasticity, and the item with the lowest proportion has the lowest price elasticity. It is so because the item with highest proportion takes more when price in the economy when price level in the economy rises. Note down this point, guys. All note it down, guys. All this point. Multiple uses of a commodity. If a commodity can be used for multiple purposes, guys, then it will have high price elasticity as against those commodities which have very limited use. Right? For example, electricity. It can be used for various purposes. It can be used for cooling, for illumination, that is for lighting, and to use various electrical and electronic gadgets. So you use electricity to watch television, to operate your washing machine, to listen music, right? To use your laptop for cooling in your house and also for illumination, that is lighting in your house. But once tariff rate of electricity is increased by the power supplier significantly, then you cut down its consumption. So you decide that now we will watch television, all the family members together, that too only for an hour in a day. We will not listen much of music. We will not use much of washing machine. We will be careful while consuming power. We will not use fans and lights in those rooms where no one is there. Are you getting my point, guys, or not? This is how you can cut down some of your consumption of power because you are using it for various purposes. The same is with milk. We use milk in our homes not only for its direct consumption but also to make tea out of it, to make curd, buttermilk, butter, right? To make sweets out of it. But once its price rises substantially in the market, what do? We cut down consumption of milk for some purposes which are not very important for us. So some trivial uses of milk that we used to do, now we stop doing that. So we decide that okay, we will not consume milk to make sweets. We will not consume milk to make buttermilk. We will use or we will consume milk only to make tea and for its direct consumption. by children and homes. But if you are using a commodity only for one purpose, it would be very difficult to quit that commodity forever once its price rises. For example, tea leaves. Price of tea leaves rises, but you cannot cut down its consumption. Why? Because otherwise also you are using it only for one purpose, that is to make tea out of it. Have you got this, guys, or not? I'm asking all.
Yes, sir.
So when LPG cylinders were very cheap or less expensive than now, when they were available for rupees 400, people were using LPG cylinders not only as a cooking gas, but were also using it or consuming it to use their gas geysers and also to run their vehicles. But once its price shooted up, now people are using it only as a cooking gas. Are you getting my point? Because now electricity is cheaper than LPG. So all those who were using gas geysers, because that time it was cheaper than using electric geysers, they have stopped using that. I hope guys you all have got the idea. So commodities which are used for multiple purposes have more sensitivity towards change in their prices than those goods or those commodities which are used for one or two purposes only. It is so because when price of commodities which have multiple use rises, their consumption can be cut to some extent by restricting their use for trivial purposes. But the commodities which are used only for one or two purposes, cutting down their consumption is difficult. Time. Suppose you have to quit a commodity forever, right? For some reason, and you have to shift towards some other commodity. If you have long time with you to do so, you can do it. But if somebody asks you to quit that commodity right from today, it would be difficult for you. Do you agree to this or not, guys? Even though you are not habitual of it, even though you are not addicted to it, yet you usually and we all usually take time to change our habits, our consumption. So when we have more time available with us to change from one commodity to another, then we can change it. We can shift from it. But if we have lesser time available, we cannot. It is difficult for us to shift from the commodity which we are using for long. I hope you have got me, guys. So That is what this point is about. Availability of time is also a factor that decides price elasticity of demand. If we have more time available, then elasticity would be more, because in that case, even though when price rises, we can shift from that commodity provided we have enough time for it. But in case we have lesser time, even though price rises, it is difficult for us to shift from that commodity immediately. I hope you all have got this, right? For example, let's assume that from tomorrow price of an LPG cylinder, domestic cylinder, becomes rupees 4,000, right? And let's say there is no power available in your house. So now you have only option to cook your food is to use firewood. Can you immediately change from LPG to firewood right from tomorrow? It is difficult for you. Even though price has risen of LPG cylinder from, let's say, from 1200 to rupees 4,000 per cylinder, then also it would be very difficult for you to change from LPG to even electricity or firewood to cook your food. I hope you have got this. But yes, if somebody says that, okay, you have 1 month, after a month, price of LPG will become 4,000 per cylinder, not from tomorrow. Then slowly in this month, you would try to shift yourself from LPG to electricity or to firewood to cook your food. I hope you all have got this. So availability of time has direct relationship with price elasticity of demand. That is, when more time is available for a consumer to shift from a commodity which he has been using since long, he can shift. But if time available is very less, it is difficult to shift from the commodity. For example, if price of a domestic LPG cylinder becomes rupees 4,000 from tomorrow, it would be very difficult for a family to shift towards firewood right from tomorrow to cook its food. I hope, guys, you are understanding this point also. Next title is use or importance of price elasticity of demand. Note down this, guys, all. So, guys, price elasticity of demand is mainly used by only two entities. One is manufacturers or sellers, and second is the government. So, suppose you are a manufacturer or seller of a commodity, and now you want to increase price of your commodity that you sell, right? But before increasing the price, you also must know that by increase in price, how much or how demand of your commodity will get affected. Suppose at a price of 10, demand of the good that I sell is 100 in a week. This is price and this is demand, that is quantity demanded. I want to raise the price from 10 to 12. So when I increase the price from 10 to 12, what would be the demand? That also I must know. And for that, I use price elasticity of demand of my this commodity. If because of increase in price, demand falls down to 70, then it is not good for me and I should not do it. But if even by increasing price from 10 to 12, demand does not get affected or gets affected very hardly, then I can increase the price. Because decrease in demand means decrease in my income. Earlier, I was selling 100 units in a week at a price of 10. Now I am able to sell 95 units at a price of 12. Are you understanding this, guys, or not? And this is the way manufacturers and sellers, that is distributors, use price elasticity of demand. Here total revenue is rupees 1000. Here total revenue is 1140. It means even though there is some price elasticity in this commodity, yet my total revenue rather has increased than earlier by rising the price. Are you getting my point, guys, or not? Earlier I was earning every week rupees 1000. Now I'm earning rupees 1140. However, if this had been 80, then my revenue would have decreased from 1000 to 960. So I must know how my demand will get affected when I change the price. And to know this, I use price elasticity of demand of my commodity. I hope you all are getting this, guys. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
The same, guys, happens with government. Government is interested in its taxes. Let's say this is tax. When a seller sells 100 units, the government gets tax of rupees 10. If government increases the tax, obviously price of the commodity will also rise in the market because of increased tax. So now only 80 units are being sold in the market because of higher taxes. But if government knows that even though tax rate has increased from 10 to 12, then also there won't be any impact on demand. then government may rise the tax very easily. And here also government uses price elasticity of demand. This is the reason, guys, why in every budget prices of tobacco items and liquor rises. I repeat, this is the reason why in every budget the central government increases tax on tobacco and liquor items. Why? Because they know that these items are used by those who are habitual to it. Even though these things are available either at a tax rate of 10% or 12%, they will still purchase it. I hope you have understood, guys. And government's tax revenue will not get affected because of that at all. In fact, it will rise because demand has not get affected. Demand earlier was 100 when tax was rupees 10 or tax rate was 10%. Now also it is 100 even though tax rate is 12%. And because of this, government's tax revenue has increased. Have you understood, guys, or not? What I just explained. I'm asking, guys.
Yes, sir.
So for manufacturers or traders, when they know price elasticity of demand of their products, for them it is easy to determine the change in demand of the product when price of the product is changed, whether increased or decreased, and thereby they can also determine overall impact on their revenue due to change in price. I hope you have got this, guys. Here, which tax we are talking about are indirect taxes. That is GST.